If you were in charge of designing a bobblehead for one Clipper, who would it be this season? Could there be a prop involved? Otani's got his dog. Who are you going with? Welcome into Clips and Dip. Clippers Talk. I'm Adam Oslin, second show of the day. Earlier today, if you missed it, I did a Clippers Talk live after that report that came out from Ohm on ESPN talking about Coach Lue and his time with Team USA and how he's extra motivated this season because Paul George left the Clippers. More on that coming up, but you see him. Let's introduce the guys. You know them very well from the Clips and Dip podcast. With myself, we got Chuck Mockler and Will Updyke here for the first time on the YouTube side on Clippers Talk. They've been on Clippers Talk postgame many times and will be this season as well. Chuck, we'll start with you. How you been?
I'm good. I've been in line for the show Hey Bobblehead since 6:30 in the morning. But I'm happy that I made it here for this podcast. Excited to talk about the Clippers as always.
We'll get to the Clippers. We will get to the Clippers for sure. Will, how you been?
Good. Yeah. How long has it been since we've talked?
Last Friday.
A day.
Oh, in the text message? Yeah, earlier today.
I do want to know, Adam, what's the body fat at? What's the quest to 10? Where are we at? You don't have to get hard numbers, but as someone who has watched the show, I understand this is.
We need hard numbers.
I'll tell you mine based on this shitty scale I have.
Little body composition scale.
You got the Renfo?
I got the Renfo. I did it. I did it yesterday. 15.9 is what it told me.
Wow. He's lapping at him.
I don't know. I don't trust it though.
That's better than what I got on the DEXA scan in my latest embarrassing TikTok.
But I don't know. I don't believe the Ren. Dude, you're in way better like muscular shape than I am. I don't know.
I got 16.2 on the DEXA, which I guess is the gold standard. I did pay $50 for this when it comes to measuring body fat. I thought it used to be the dunk
seems
tank.
Pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
It was all right. I'm going to do it again in a month, and then we'll be about a month away from the Clippers season starting, and I'm trying to get to 10% before October 23rd when they take on the Phoenix Suns at Intuit Dome. So I think I can do it.
Is there a punishment on the line if you don't?
Just public embarrassment, even worse than the TikTok videos I've been doing, which are so stupid.
You got to go shirtless under the blazer opening night on the call.
Clanging
if you don't make it.
That's fair. Shame myself that way. Look at how fat I am, everyone. Point and laugh. I'll do the walk of shame all the way from the plaza into the arena like that. Oh, it'd be awful. Brian Seaman will laugh at me while he eats ice cream in my face for dinner.
I mean, I know the same, but.
Okay, I have some interesting questions to ask you guys, I guess, based upon stuff we haven't talked about since we've been doing Clips and Dip. A little bit of the backstory regarding how we became fans. I don't normally like origin stories. I don't want to hear about Uncle Ben again dying. I don't want to hear about Batman's parents dying or see it by Zack Snyder this time and how he wants to do that scene. But in this case, I do want to know how and why you became Clippers fans from Montana. Will, we'll start with you.
My Uncle Don called me on the phone. And he was like, I've acquired a team. I've got a crazy idea. They're in San Diego right now. And I said, where the hell is San Diego? I'm in Colstrip, Montana. He says, but I'm going to move them to Los Angeles. And I was like, that I've heard of. That seems better. I've heard of that.
How's your uncle doing?
In all seriousness,
seriously, folks.
Folks. I just do a terrible stand-up. Okay. So in Montana, you get to root for whatever team you want. No one can criticize it. I think that the pipeline to either Seattle or Denver teams is pretty strong. I loosely like the Sonics, loosely like the Nuggets. Eras of both that I like more than others. Was a huge AI fan. So that was kind of like my sort of basketball background. And then simultaneously, I have the same sort of like underdog mentality as the Clippers. I was, incensed for no reason that there were so many Lakers fans in Colstrip, Montana. Like,
Montana in general.
you can't just bandwagon the most winning team of of our generation. That's just like that. How is that fandom? That doesn't count. So
you haven't earned this, Ryan. Earn it, Ryan.
Yeah, so I already had I already had a bit of an anti-Lakers sentiment. Sorry to any of it to the Angelinos. Sorry,
big Lakers show. You better watch it, bro.
I mean, I don't know.
Say more, please.
And then there was kind of like that period of early thousands basketball where I think myself and a lot of people kind of there was a bit of a tune out there. I feel like for a little period of time, and then I was in college. When Blake Griffin was at OU, and I don't even follow college basketball, but it was inescapable, man. He was everywhere. It was it was Griffin mania. So got a very catchy name. They consulted me on that, so yeah, it was hard to not get kind of swept up in that. And then obviously he went to the Clippers and ended up playing that first season. But that pretty much cemented it for me. And then I moved to Los Angeles, and it was like there's no turning back. Like there was no other option. It just seemed like a natural fit. So I guess in some ways I'm a bandwagoner. To my credit, though, in my defense, how difficult. I didn't have cable growing up. You know how difficult it is to watch a Los Angeles Clippers game.
Fucking cold
at that time. Yeah. At that period of time.
Yeah, you couldn't even do it illegally.
I don't want to get any shit. I feel like the anti-Lakers sentiment is enough for my Clippers bona fides. But you can also call me a bandwagon. That's fine.
I don't know. You approved yourself. You are worthy of being a Clippers fan. Chuck, did it start in a similar fashion? You jumped on the bandwagon with Blake Griffin?
Well, I just won so much. No. So yeah, and I was familiar with, obviously in 01 with the Knuckleheads. It was talk about another thing that. So I'm from Western Montana, which is more populated than Eastern Montana, but still Western Montana. And so as someone who loved,
it's basically the same, but with a beanie.
Yeah, for the most part, mountains.
Exact same people, just with a beanie on, a Carhartt beanie on.
And so in the early thousands, if you listen to hip hop or anything like that, the Knuckleheads were a huge movement. So I think I literally probably saw them first in a music video, and then all the highlights where you could download them off LimeWire or whatever.
Were you watching, what was it called? A Perfect Score with Darius Miles, the movie?
Oh yeah. Just a powerhouse performance. So I was, they were on my radar then, just because that was also a kind of basketball that, the basketball the Knuckleheads were playing was full of a little more joy than the basketball that I was experiencing firsthand in Montana, where it was a rule when I was in high school that if you dunked, it was a foul. You couldn't.
Oh,
dunk.
Yeah.
It was like a technical foul.
Did your gym teacher tell you that they saw somebody lose a finger with a wedding ring because of dunking?
Yep. So it was a very steeped in basically racism. Why you couldn't play fun basketball. So that was in my head. And then my mom's side of the family's from Oklahoma. So when Blake and Sam Bradford were, I think, the first two guys at a school to win a Heisman and the Naismith Award. I think that was the first time that ever happened until Tebow and Noah. That was just Blake being the man. My aunt just was losing her mind. Then he went to LA. Then I moved to LA. I think Will was here before me, and then I moved out a half a year or so later, and then it was just well, fuck it. We're here. Let's watch the Clippers. So we're here.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think our first Christmas in LA, you got a gift of Clippers tickets, and I think that was the first time.
Yeah.
What year? What year about?
2012.
2012.
Okay, so early Lob City days.
Yeah, I got a blue Blake jersey that I still have with the red Los Angeles script. I love that jersey.
The script is back.
The script is back. But yeah, so that's where and again, same with Will, just in Montana, it was you can choose whoever you want to be a fan of. So it was whatever, I'll be a Clippers fan.
Do you
now
guys?
We're here. And my mom hated the Lakers, which was a big part. My mom was a huge My grandpa was a college basketball player. He played in the Pan Am Games, which is crazy. And so, like, basketball was big. And my mom hated basketball. She hated Kobe Bryant because he would just win all the time. It wasn't some, like, obviously she respected his game, but she was like, and she loved AI. So that was obviously a big.
She knew the game. I mean, she had the hoop or not.
She knew the game. My mom knows the game. So it was like, yeah, well, I'm not going to be a fan of this team. And they were good. Again, like what Will was saying, people who I think if you move from Montana to LA, you do have some kind of delusional underdog part of your brain. So it was like, I can't move here and become a Lakers fan because that also felt gross. And as someone who enjoys live sports, being able to afford to go to games does lead me to be fan of a team. And they were a lot easier and still are a lot easier to afford than the Lakers. No knock on the Lakers. If you can charge it. But that's where I was at the time and never wavered.
I think we're all similar in one respect, that we gravitated towards the Clippers because of maybe a counterculture, anti-Laker type of mentality. Because I was from NorCal, Sacramento.
You had a team, though, to be fair.
Small-time team. I did. They almost left, and I was a hardcore Kings fan. But when I was really young, I did like the Lakers because I love Magic Johnson, and the Kings did nothing for so long. Late 80s, early 90s. I think the first time they made the playoffs in my lifetime was like 96 maybe, and they lost in 3 games or whatever it was in the first round. Mitch Richmond, The Rock, those guys. And I adored them, but if I wanted to watch playoff basketball and go further into the season, I had to have another team. And sometimes when you're a kid, colors or a smile can do it for you. The Lakers wore these beautiful gold jerseys, and Magic Johnson just looked like this fun-loving point guard that shared the ball, was a great leader. I love the guy that played him in winning time. Magic was my favorite player ever. Just the way he played, So were
you also a Warriors fan at some point? Have you been a fan of every single California team, or?
No. I was never on with the Warriors, even though my dad tried to convert me because he lived in San Francisco back when they won with Rick Barry back in the day. But never a Golden State guy. And to be fair, they also were really bad around that time. The Kings that I mentioned.
Still time.
There's still time, but I would feel the same way that I felt about Lakers fans back then. Like, it was so easy. When the Kobe Shaq era came around, I just didn't like them. I liked Shaq when I was very young in Orlando. I thought he was funny. And then you grow up and you're like, wow, this guy's
and they kill your team. At the time, it was like they just kill whatever team you're rooting for. You're like, all right, well, I can't like the guy, I can respect him, but I can't like the guy who's kicking the shit out of my team.
Well, my sister was a Bulls fan from Sacramento because they were always winning, and she loved Michael Jordan. And then when they beat the Lakers in 91 in the finals, I'm crying and cared so much. And she's just like, whatever, cool, we won again type thing. And that was the first time they had won with MJ. But she had the Bulls starter jacket, so that bugged me. And I think I was just starting to, form this mindset of I don't like the team that's on top. My sister liked the Bulls and MJ. I didn't like MJ because of that. And I certainly didn't like the Lakers and the Hollywood type of feel they had with the Kobe and Shaq era, and how it was almost celebrated with the infighting. Oh, but we win anyways type thing. And it was just like, I want to root for guys I like. And I really love that Kings team in the early 2000s. Yeah. That is my all-time, favorite team outside of some of these Clippers teams. 2002 Kings. I followed them. I was so diehard. I spent a lifetime on that series in 2000.
You have a Dick Bavetta jersey. You have a Dick Bavetta Lakers jersey. You're such a diehard, which I still don't understand is not a more insane. I don't know. That is like it's an iconic Kings fan move, I feel like.
My buddy, I bought him the Bob Delaney jersey because he reffed that Game 6 in 2002. For those who don't know, is one of the more scrutinized games for bad officiating in the history of sports. The Lakers got 27 free throws in the fourth quarter of that game. Scott Pollard fouled out in 10 minutes in that game, and the Lakers had to win to extend the series to go back and have a Sunday game on NBC in Sacramento in Game 7.
What are you insinuating?
Nothing at all. I don't know. Some ref went to jail for something, but Tim Donaghy actually wasn't reffing that series. Yeah, a rogue referee, even though he was calling Scott Foster before and after every game. That's another story for another day. I don't think Scott Foster was involved in anything. But at that time, I was so upset and spent so much time because then I come to college down here. I'm at Biola University, Bible Institute of Los Angeles.
They have a team.
And I'm arguing the basketball team, NAIA or something league. I didn't really watch many games.
The JC League.
But I'm taking all this incoming from Lakers fans, and I'm fighting in the forums of Biola.
Hell yeah. Real
like
early
Bubs or something.
NBA nerd shit.
Yeah.
Fighting
message board fighting all day long because the series had just happened by the time I get there. And that only crystallized my fandom for the Kings and hatred for the Los Angeles Lakers. So I could never be a Lakers fan like you guys. And then I went to a Clippers-Kings game around that time. It was 2003. So it's the next season. Somebody drove by. It was a friend, but he randomly was like, hey, you guys want tickets to the Clippers game tonight? We're like, yeah, we'll go to the basketball game. Who are they playing? The Kings. Oh, dope. We're going to see the Sacramento Kings. And it was funny because at that game, during a timeout, they'd have some fun on the Jumbotron. They were comparing, I don't know if the second Addams Family movie was out. They were doing some promotion for that. But they were showing like one of the characters from that and then comparing them to a player. And they showed who was the bald guy in the
Uncle
Addams
Festus.
Family. Uncle Festus. Festus.
Sorry,
that sounds right, yeah. They showed him, and then they did a side-by-side juxtaposition with Keon Clark of the Sacramento Kings on the Jumbotron, and he flipped it off. The biggest middle finger I've ever seen in my life. He was fined $50,000. You can find this report, but I was just like,
whoa, that's a lot for 03.
It was.
That's like...
For a guy that was, I don't know, making $2 million a year or something like that back then, maybe less. Good player. But I always liked the Clippers because anti-Lakers stuff, and also like you, the Knuckleheads. I saw a game at Arco one time where all Darius Miles did pregame was shoot half-court shots while everybody else is in the layup line.
Yeah.
And I was just like, awesome.
Basketball's supposed to be fun.
I had a ton of love for those guys. And the 06 team, I wanted them to play the Lakers so bad because I felt like they would have beat them. I'm sure they would have. They easily could have beaten the Phoenix Suns. And from there, I followed them more closely. And then obviously being involved with the team, you become more of a fan. You have a rooting interest and all that. But I genuinely love it. I do a lot of podcasts right now just because I can't stop thinking about the damn Clippers. And it's great. It's awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys for sharing that. Could we talk more about our dislike or disdain for Laker fans and the makeup of them and why we can't stand them?
I don't.
It's so strange to me. How do you jump on a team and get any fulfillment from that when they just are about to win the championship? It's like my buddy became a Denver Broncos fan when they were in that Super Bowl against the Packers. As it's going along, he's like, "That's my team." What?
Yeah, he's switching shirts. He's taking a shirt. Yeah.
Sean Elway is my favorite player ever as he's about to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I can't give a lot of credit to that. Do you guys have any deep cut Clipper players? Like when we say ironically Clipper legend for Mike Muscala and guys like that, maybe someone who actually played a few games. But do you have any of those guys in the past that help solidify your fandom that you just really love, more obscure Clippers?
Oh, man.
I mean, I think it's probably Milos for me because that was like
this was funny. Dude.
This was like pre Locked On Clippers.
Yeah.
Charles and I had a different podcast before that. And we were very excited about Milos.
Yeah, Milos was super fun.
So that's one that'll always stick to me. He has the Star Wars bobblehead that I think is one of
He's
the
got the
Clippers
lightsaber.
bobbleheads.
That's at my office. I have it at my office right now.
Yeah. I love that one.
Milos Magic. He had a couple of really exciting games. He wasn't terrible. He had the plantar fasciitis going on.
He was the worst defender I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
Willie Green, for some reason, popped out into my head as a guy who I was just like, yeah, okay, I kind of like how this guy plays basketball. Didn't exactly translate to a bunch of wins.
Jamike, for sure, just because he was such a good guy in the locker room.
Dude, Jamichael Green. Yeah, and these are, again, this is more recent stuff from when, actual contact with them. So, that, elevated it to a level of, I mean, when the bench mob with Barnes and that stuff, that that was a cool time when it was like they were kind of, they'd bring in the bench and it was not as Hollywood as the starting five or whatever. Like I liked Matt Barnes, the Clipper.
Me too. NorCal guy from Del Campo.
Yeah,
I was a big fan of Matt Barnes. What was that fight that almost broke out? And he had to like hold Blake back, or Blake had to hold him back. There was a great photo from it. I remember. I forget who it was against, but Matt Barnes, obviously, about that life. Ask Derek Fisher.
Yeah, no shit. But yeah, those guys are probably like the minor ones that I probably liked the most.
I had a ton of love. One of my favorite players all time. He's not some lesser known player, but he wasn't a Clipper for long, but had a big impact. Sam Cassell. Sam I Am Cassell is one of my all-time favorite players because his Houston Rocket days, I loved watching him then. I loved watching him with Milwaukee.
There's only one instance where I don't... Wait, was Sam Cassell the 8-second? That was his 8-second violation, wasn't it?
Was it? That doesn't sound like my Sam Cassell.
Not my Sam Cassell.
Two-time champion, one of the most clutch players ever. I always felt like... I think he had a quote one time in Slam Magazine or something where they asked him if he was on a team with Jordan and Kobe and these all-time greats and he was in this starting five, who would take the last shot? And he was like, me. Like he had this ridiculous confidence and mid-range game and post-up game for a guard that kind of has gone extinct in some ways. I loved Sam Cassell a ton.
It was Sam Cassell.
Damn.
It was, I was like, I thought that was Sam Cassell. They lost that game in OT.
So many big shots, though. So many big shots.
Oh, absolutely. That's just,
yeah, that's unfortunate. The Ewing play is the one I was thinking of that stood out to me. Not defending against Phoenix, I think it was. I don't know. So some of these lesser-known guys, I really liked Sindarius Thornwell.
Bro, the Sindarius stint? Oh, man. Yes. He was – what an interesting locker room guy. One time we were at it was like the year after Sindarius was off the team, I think. And some player was FaceTiming with him. It might have been Lou Will. And, like, Sindarius was playing in the G League somewhere, and we heard him talking, and he was like, oh, yeah. He's like, I got the Gallo issue today. And they're like, what? He's like, oh, yeah, I'm hurt. I'm doing the Gallo. Like, it was like a joke that to not practice, they were referencing it as the Gallo for Danilo Gallinari. And which he was like, I'm giving him the Gallo treatment, which I thought was pretty funny.
I did have a receipt check with him one time because I was praising him. I think I said it at Media Day. I brought up the G League because one time Sindarius Thornwell said, you don't want to go down to the G League. They're like wolves down there. And I brought it up to another player. And for whatever reason, Sindarius was on Twitter and said, I never said that. And so I pulled the video of him saying it.
That's so funny.
And he never responded to it. But I love the guy. He was one of those guys that, I don't know, it's a good bar question, I guess, for a Clipper fan.
Dude, and well, we would always joke that Doc would always put Sindarius in for like an inbounds play or like the final free throw of the half, and like that would be like his only playing time just because he would like maybe cause chaos. So we started calling him Sindarius stints, which is always a good time.
What is the best time you've ever had watching a Clippers game that doesn't include Game 6 to get to the Western Conference Finals and beating Utah? It could be something personal to you. You're just with the right friend, right time. You're watching this game. Maybe it helped you drive you deeper into your fandom.
I know this.
A certain game. It could be anything.
Will, do you want to go? Because I think we might have the same answer.
No, you go.
Will and I watched the gigantic comeback against the Warriors at a friend's bar that he owned, and we were just – it was very fun.
We were living it up.
We were living it up. I think we caused a lot of people to leave that bar because it was not a sports bar. This was like a cool Hollywood bar type place.
If the term red wine Will was coined when you drink a little too much red wine, get a little rowdy.
Will was drinking red wine.
Brings the demons out of me.
I was drinking gin and tonics, and I think we did a live. Like
we did a live. I had wine stained teeth.
Like at the bar, just being like the Clipper, like let's fucking go. That's up there with some of my favorite just sports memories. Because that also, I mean, that Lawler call is, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about that Lawler call. I think it's the only 3-pointer that Landry Shamet ever made for the Clippers. But I'm never gonna. What I can remember from that night, I'm never going to forget. I don't think.
They come back down 31. We're taking 31 shots, boys.
Dude, I mean, yeah, we were halfway there. That's probably my favorite watching the Clips memory, because Will got to be at that game 6, which is freaking sick. So
I remember the Blake dunk over Kendrick Perkins well. I was hanging out with this girl who had a boyfriend. I shouldn't have been hanging out with her, and I just remember rewinding that. Not at Biola.
You dog. They'll expel you.
Would have had to sneak her in. Yeah. Closed door prayer meeting here. That's all that's going on. All nighter. Lock in prayer. That dunk I must have rewound like 50,000 times. Like that dunk over Kendrick Perkins so many times. It was just ingrained in my head.
The Gamebreaker dunk. I always call it the Gamebreaker dunk from Jamal to Blake, where he does the windmill. That literally is a dunk you do in NBA Street. Will, what's your? Sorry, I was spouting off about the Warriors. Do you have one that's different?
I mean, no, it's really like it's got to be that.
It's hard to beat.
And if game 6 is out, yeah, I don't know. I will say one of the weirder ones was like the infamous. I was in the building for the infamous Harden step back where he dropped Avery Bradley, and like
Wes Johnson.
Oh, Wes Johnson. Yes. Sorry, where he dropped Wes Johnson.
I forgot that.
And it was like the entire arena stopped in a way that it's like never stopped before. Like I thought I honestly, like, what did the whistle like go off or something? Because it was that insane. Like you saw it happen. There might have been a little shove in there. I don't know. Actually, Harden's a Clipper. There's no way there was a shove. There was never a shove. He didn't even touch the guy. But like, just I've never seen. I can't think of another moment in an arena where the entire thing, like you could the cliche thing, you could have heard a pin drop. It was nuts. It was absolutely insane. And it felt like, I have to be honest with you, from the time he hit the ground until Harden got that shot off, it felt like minutes. Like it felt like so fucking long. I was like, that's why I thought there was like a whistle or something. I was like, is this ever going to end?
That was Wes Johnson going into the sunken place. You know, that was,
yeah.
I every time I saw him after that on the coaching staff, I was like, damn, that was a rough moment. I can't get that out of my head.
I mean, that would suck. Yeah.
And I like Wes.
Sure.
If you could intervene, there was a show in the 80s called Out of This World, and this girl that found out she was an alien would put her 2 fingers together like this and release alien powers where she could stop time. But she could be walking throughout it, kind of like Quicksilver when he's moving around fast with the X-Men, you know. Sure. He's doing stuff while everybody else is standing still. If you could do that for any moment, that is not Joe Ingles and the ACL tear for Kawhi Leonard.
Any of the other ones. How about
anything?
I'll do it for any of the other Kawhi Leonard.
We don't know when it happened with the other ones.
But you would if you could stop time. I could go through every... Thanks to Basketball Reference, I could look up every possession Kawhi Leonard has ever played. No, I would. I mean, the 8-second thing.
Yeah,
it would maybe be the 8-second violation from Sam Cassell.
You just get behind Sam and push him forward and be like, get across the court.
Or, Blake punching the trainer.
Yeah, that was tough. They were friends though.
Who amongst us?
I heard they were better friends afterwards. I don't know.
Yeah.
Will, you got a moment you'd like to change with some divine intervention? Or everything happened.
There's a lot. There's a lot to choose from, which sucks.
What's the biggest butterfly effect moment that you could change, you know, and really alter things for the Clippers? That's not the Kawhi ACL.
I have a really funny one that I'll say after Will's, but
Montrez and Lou tried doubly hard to stop KD. Clippers take the Warriors to to Game 7. Shea he's not tradable. Sorry, it's not up for debate. He took the champs.
Ooh,
He took the champs to as a rook. Took the champs to Game 7. It's not up for debate. He's not tradable.
That's a good one.
that's interesting. If
I was
they
obviously more than one single moment, but because he scored 48 or whatever,
something like that,
42 maybe. It was a huge game. It was
it might have been 50, dude.
It might have been a 50 piece.
That was the press box game where we were just sitting there and Kevin Durant was just one step.
I've never been more pissed at like seeing such a feat of greatness. It
was like watching Mozart and you're like, well, this fucking sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
It sucks this is happening to me.
But yeah, that would be there's multiple moments of intervention there, but yeah, who knows?
No, you just pause time, go over to the scorers table, take a few points off of Kevin Durant. Everybody blinks and they're like, I thought he had more than just 5. But
I have 2 funny ones. One, just see what would happen. The second bid group to buy the Clippers that was second to Ballmer had a group that was like Oprah and some other people, just to see what would happen. I think it would be very funny to see what would happen if Oprah owned the Clippers. And the other one, I'm keeping Lou Will out of the club during COVID. I'm keeping him out of the match. I'm getting the wings delivered to him.
I think it was needed. I think the vibes would have been so much worse if he hadn't been able to let a little steam off. You know,
that picture with Jack Harlow.
I would also make it so Jack Harlow never made music. Because then that photo doesn't happen. Yeah. What would you stop time?
Oh, I might save Wes Johnson right now after thinking back on that play and how that might have affected him afterwards. I might stop that from happening somehow.
You would stop V from recording Donald Stern.
No. My God. That happened as it should. Maybe it happens earlier and we get see.
I was going to say maybe you have a record earlier. Yeah.
Will's got me on this rabbit hole now. If they somehow beat Golden State in that series, or like you said, just take him.
I just think take him to 7.
Just go to 7. Yeah.
He's untradeable. Like if he has a 30-point game in the Game 7 and they lose by 5 or something in a close game, he is untradeable at that point. That's interesting. Guess I never thought they really, they took him to 6. It wasn't nothing.
Then Kevin Durant scored 50 fucking points.
I remember Lou Will and Pat Bev after that when reporters were asking them about like, how come you guys couldn't really stop KD? Iconic. And they looked at each other like, because he's KD.
I promise you we tried.
Yeah.
I promise you we tried.
That's why I said that would be my intervening, is that they tried doubly hard.
Yeah.
I got you.
That, any of the Chris Paul injuries. Again, there's a lot of things to choose from. Which
you're just like I'm just imagining you're like just somehow supporting that hamstring.
Yeah,
you're just.
I'm just doing.
There's just like
just giving it a little.
I'm pausing time. I'm standing on the court, obviously, with a medical journal, and I'm like, okay, how does this happen? And I'm just small tweaks, just so the weight distribution. You know what I mean? Just so we're good.
There's like people think they see something when they wake back up. Mm-hmm. It's like the penis at the end of Fight Club. It's just a really quick frame, and that was Chuck supporting the hamstring.
And then I'm back into time. The future.
That's all it takes. That's all it could take. You know.
Yeah, the future is totally.
If you really believe in the butterfly effect, that's truly all it could take.
It really.
This does change things though, because if I change anything before, I move here. Maybe they become some kind of juggernaut. And I'm like, oh, this team won 8 championships in a row. I don't know if I want to root for this team.
All of a sudden, this show is about to cut out because you just altered time to a point where we're not even doing this.
If I wake up tomorrow living in Saskatchewan, I'll know that things have gone awry timeline-wise.
We all know what mine is. What's the worst take you've ever had about the Clippers that you'd like to take back?
Wait, is yours a John Wall one?
You know it. What could be worse?
Man, I've had a lot of bad takes, but
I want your worst. What's most regrettable? I said John Wall shooting above 38% from 3.
I think at one point I said if Jermichael Green hit certain stipulations, we should give him like a 4-year, $70 million contract. I think that was probably my worst. Oh no, I have my worst take. At one point, this was even before I think the Lou and Trez pick and roll was going crazy. I said that the Clippers should just give Trez a lifetime contract for $100 million. Which, if you think about the math for it at the time, is not that much money per year.
No.
That's probably my worst take. That I'm a pretty easygoing Clippers person. I'm like, yeah, it was a bad take, whatever. I think I vehemently defended that one at one point.
I mean, a Jerry Buss like deal with Magic Johnson, that would have aged very well. Now, unfortunately, he's been hurt recently, but
Correct.
We loved Montrez at the time before he went to the Lakers.
Look at our backup centers since Trez.
Yeah.
Not exactly.
It's
not exactly running the best pick and roll of all time.
No. He and James Harden in the pick and roll, I mean, they were in Houston together for a second, but Trez wasn't playing much.
Right.
Will, you have any
Have I had a bad take?
Oh, come on.
I'm racking my brain here.
I'm just trying to think of something. I mean, I said Batum was going to be great. He's been great.
We're not doing good.
I said this is our year. Get back to me. Okay.
Wait. No comment. No, that's going to age gracefully too, of course.
Make sure you bookmark this one. It's our year.
Clip it, chat. Clip it.
So we talked about, I think, off the top or behind the scenes, it's Ohtani's second bobblehead giveaway.
Mm-hmm.
And people were there. I think some were there
11
before the sun was up.
11, yeah. The craziest I saw was 11.
Do you think the sun doesn't come up before 11?
Sometimes.
Depends on how it's feeling.
Well, first of all, the sun is flat. I'm on this new wave that the sun is flat, not the earth.
Earth is round.
Dude,
the sun
that's
is
what Smash Mouth meant by walking on the sun.
How can you walk on the sun, bro, if it's not flat? You can't walk on a damn yoga ball. You know what I mean? No, the sun is flat.
The Ohtani bobbleheads are out, the second version, and they're a hot ticket item right now. In fact, some people have multiple tickets just so they can go there and get multiple bobbleheads and not even stay for the ball game, as we were talking about earlier, Chuck. They're not even there for that. They're just there to go onto eBay, where some of them are being priced at $12,000 if you have one of the rare gold ones. There's only 2,000 of those ones we hear. So if you
Ohtani should step in.
He buys them all up.
It'd be like the thing from Holes where he gets convicted for stealing the shoes from well, he didn't really do it. He gets wrongfully convicted for stealing the shoes from the charity thing, and the player says, "You're no fan of mine." Ohtani needs to do that.
I like that.
I want to keep I want to keep the creativity and the laughs going here by asking you, if you were in charge of designing a bobblehead for one Clipper, who would it be this season? Could there be a prop involved? Ohtani's got his dog. Who are you going with? Who's the guy?
Damn, this season?
Long hair zoo in Viking armor.
Oh, dude, that is so sick. Viking Zoo? Dude, Croat Viking Zoo would be so rad.
Done.
Yeah, that's a great
Whose idea is
answer.
better?
That's a great answer.
That sounds like the old Ninja Turtle figures I had, where they just ran out of ideas and were like,
Viking
all right,
Zoo.
Donatello in an astronaut uniform. Sell it.
So this wouldn't be a bobblehead, but Will and I have had a running joke for, I think, the whole time Kawhi has been on the Clippers. Is that they should give away Hulk hands, but they're Kawhi hands to the whole crowd. So everyone just has giant Kawhi hands in the crowd. That or
That's a good giveaway.
Or Steve Ballmer hyper realistic masks. 17,000 people in hyper realistic Steve Ballmer masks. You're not shooting your average from three. Is all I'm saying.
Okay. Those are your guys.
Sorry, one more. PJ Tucker in a recliner using a rotary phone to call a media member.
That's what I was looking for. Ting, ting, ting. Ring, ring, ring.
He's got a blanket over him, his lap, because he's not playing. But he's
TV dinner.
He's TV dinner. Rotary.
What about in a phone booth? Like he's dropping a dive on, so he's got some real hardcore intel.
The shoes are cool. He has cool shoes on.
He's a CI.
But he's telling Janice Carr why he should have 25 minutes per game. That's what he's doing.
PJ Tucker, I hear, has been killing everybody in practice, and they don't want him to show off tonight at the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bobby Valentine.
Yeah.
I want Kawhi. This is like a play set. I don't even know if it's a bobblehead, but I want him in the Chevy Tahoe or whatever it was.
Ooh, that would be sick.
The Jimmy SUV or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd like that.
Or Kawhi with the Wingstop coupons.
Oh, that'd
be good too. That'd be good too. Okay, there was a little bit.
I got one more.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the picture from last season of Ty Lue turning around and looking at someone in the crowd?
Yes.
No.
A bobblehead of Ty Lue doing that would be so funny. Real ones will know what I'm talking about. I don't want
crowd all the time. What are you talking about, Chuck?
Well, he was looking at something specific. It would just be so funny.
I'm snipping this out.
Clip it all, dude.
Speaking of Coach Lue, that's why you did it. I know. Good segue, good transition. Thanks for the lob. He comes out, well, I guess it happened last week, but Ohm on ESPN reported that Coach Lue, and got some quotes from him, is basically extra motivated because Paul George is in Philadelphia. And so it's lit even more of a fire underneath him to prove the doubters wrong. Talked about it on a live earlier today. I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. Is that something or nothing? Is that meaningful to you? Is that just a nice blurb and optimistic stuff for Clipper Nation to attach itself to? Or is there really, can you really get up even more, be more motivated for this upcoming season?
I think you can if you're Ty Lue. I mean, we know just how methodical his approach is. We know that he would literally kill himself doing this job. What was it, 2 seasons ago, where he had how many funerals and stuff that he had to miss? He puts everything into this.
He had to take a break because he was wandering around the streets at just thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, Ty Lue as a coach is close to that, got to be close to that maniacal almost Jordan level for how badly he wants to win, and how much head. I always talk about how much headspace something occupies. I don't know how much room Ty Lue has for other stuff, for much of anything else. I hope he does the Steve Jobs. He's got all one outfit that he just pops on or whatever. Which we know we don't, because we've seen the fits. We've seen the fits. But anyways, so I think it's possible. Motivated Ty Lue. I think it could be our year.
I agree. I think it's possible, but I also think it's kind of the perfect collision of things to happen, right? He's in Paris coaching some of the highest level of basketball you can possibly coach. He's with his new lead assistant coach, Van Gundy, in Paris, who's a defensive guy too. So it's both these two defensive guys. I think it's I don't know if he's working harder, you know what I'm saying? But I think there is a renewed spirit. And I think that came from being in Paris with JVG and just be we can bounce stuff off each other. Let's do this.
The ESPN article said what? He had photos in his camera roll of 300 new plays.
Yeah. So I think that it's I think that work retreat, for lack of a better term for it, has made him more hyped. And
it's a good field trip.
Great field trip. And, we all want to prove, if you're a Clippers fan, you want to prove any press member wrong who isn't a Clippers press member at all times, because we're always underestimated. And Paul George sucks. So I think I'm adding that in there too.
Can you imagine? Let's just talk about this for a second too. How hamstrung you were as a coach with Paul George. And I'm not saying that Ty Lue didn't have control of the locker room. I'm not saying that he didn't, he wasn't able to run his stuff. But I'm saying there had to have been limitations. And beyond that, there had to have been a sort of tenor to the locker room that, you have to kind of dance around.
Dude.
Like that you just kind of have to dance around. And I'm not saying that as any slight on Ty Lue. I think that he commands a locker room, I'm sure, pretty well. We know how much leeway he'll give to vets and stuff, sometimes to his own detriment. But he's like clearly a guy who knows how to manage personalities, something that Doc Rivers, I feel like, didn't do very well. But even still, like with somebody like Paul George, who's waffling constantly on what they want and what they need, and still somehow has so much say and pull in actual front office, things that to me, it's impossible to believe that his coaching wasn't somehow inhibited by that presence.
Yeah, your star player's like, give me the ball. Okay, I don't want this anymore.
Why would you do that?
Okay.
Why would you? Who told you to do that?
Who told you that?
It does seem like if anyone's the type of guy, and he played with MJ, you brought him up with the Washington Wizards. I think Coach Lue looks for any perceived slight and uses it as motivation. I really do. Because even with reporters sometimes, there was a game last year where someone brought up the Pelicans' record against the Clippers and what Zion's been able to do against them. And I think he responded with, let me know what happens tonight.
Or after the game. And then there was the game with Valanciunas where he hit all those threes. And I think the next time we played the Pels, he said something like he didn't hit those tonight. Like he remembered that. So I'm excited. I think a motivated Ty Lue is great. Not that he wasn't motivated last year, but I think he's just more amped up. He's feeling the vibes from a good work retreat.
Do you think Kawhi has any added motivation? Not really because of Paul George, but what happened with Team USA. Coach Lue did come out today and said Kawhi is going to be ready for training camp. We talk like every day. We talk all the time. He's going to be ready. He feels good. He feels healthy.
Talk all the time. I think I don't know. I nodded no, but I think that's only because his motivation is always at 100 and whatever % that he can get to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's always locked in. I don't think anything's really phasing that.
I don't have like quotes or podcast appearances of his to go off of. Thank God. So I'm just assuming he's always at 1,000% locked in.
I also Ty Lue brought up the thing that I always harp on, which is a full training camp with the guys. I talked about this ad nauseum last season. Like we waited so long on the Harden deal and it made sense. We wanted to get something done, for assets that we found were like acceptable. But the big what if to me for all of last season is like, what if they had a full training camp together?
Totally.
Like what could have been different if, they didn't come out the gate without Harden, have some ups with Paul George and then hit that skid, which they obviously, turned around as best as you could. But still part of me is always going to wonder about that, the last 2 and 3 year and what it could have looked like if there had been a full training camp with James Harden.
I wonder if it would have given up Terrence Mann to make the move happen faster.
I think it for sure did. I think that's why we saw so much press about it.
Yeah. And then
then PJ would understand his role a little bit more. He wouldn't have to talk to the media.
Things gel a little bit.
He calls collect, so he could have saved a few bucks on that. I don't know.
CALLATT. Yeah, PJ. PJ's for sure asking his agent. He's like, "How do I get these Carrot Top gigs selling Call ATT?" They're like, "PJ, that was decades ago." I'm begging you to get a new TV.
Is Sprint still around?
Yeah.
All right, before we get out of here, let's pump up what's coming on Friday because we have a Clips and Dip live, I believe. Hang on.
We do, but I do want to share. You said before the show we were going to talk about our highest moments as like media people, and I do just want to share.
No, just lowest. What do you mean?
Like, get that positive Chuck Mockler shit out of here. So I'm actually wearing the OG Batum Battalion shirt that we had designed by Eddie Malden, who you should go follow and enjoy his art. He's a Clippers fan. But getting to be a part of the Batum Battalion creation with Will and Joseph Ryan Ward and Brian Cullen is like just generally one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of. And I don't think something like that happens for a franchise, that isn't the Clippers. I think we had that. I mean, Batum killed it. the people who listen to Clippers podcasts are incredibly dedicated Clippers fans. And just seeing how that's like become a thing. Batum has one of these shirts, which is also very cool. Shout out Brian Seaman.
Brian has said, Batum Battalion, assemble!
Yeah. The Clippers marketing team tried to make their own shirts, and they were not good. But I don't know. I'm just proud of it. It's like a really cool thing. And it's basically from Will's belief in Batum after that first signing, and all of us just, yeah. So that's probably my highest moment as a media member.
Same for you, Will?
Yeah. I mean, definitely that.
The media room hot dogs, or
Hey, that's all me, baby.
Yeah, trying to eat keto in the media room is always a high point for me. Sometimes I'm literally going hot dog no bun, like a fucking real freak. Trying to think. Oh man, another weird one was being in the locker room when Paul George didn't make the All-Star that first year, and Pat Bev like went on a rant. That was a wild one. Yeah, I don't know. Anytime we've gotten to interact with a listener or viewer too, like every single interaction has been great.
One time someone thought I was Brian Cullen. I just went with it. So that was fun.
How about when we were getting that Into It Dome tour? They said, hey, Clips and
That was pretty tight.
There was a
cool
tour of
too.
like 30 people, and they pointed us out.
Yeah, that was pretty sick. Someone at work recognized me, and I was like, please don't talk about this at work.
Don't talk about Fight Club.
But we are doing a live stream on Friday. You are correct about that, Adam.
What time are we looking at?
5:30 post-meridian.
Beautiful. You guys should be there for that. Thanks to Chuck and Will for being here for this here on Clippers Talk. First of the YouTube ones, but they've been coming on with me. Before we were doing Clips and Dip, they would come on with me post-game sometimes on Clippers Talk.
Oh, yeah.
And that was good fill instead of callers, yelling at me about things or being upset. And me having to strike back.
I was going to say, let's not act like you're a neutral. Let's not act like you're Switzerland.
It's like two callers. It's like Sean in Inglewood and one other guy, and that's it. Morris in Long Beach always brings some positivity. And whoever, Carl is using as his anonymous name when he calls in.
His anonymous name. Tarl Cart. I think he uses Tarl Cart.
He fools me every time. It's too slick with it. Thanks to you guys for watching. We'll be on Friday with another Clips and Dip on the Clips and Dip side. For Chuck Mockler, for William Updyke, I'm Adam Oslin. This has been another edition of Clippers Talk.